I want to bring in CNN contributor and former Nixon White House counsel John Dean and political science professor at Brown University, Corey Brettschneider. He also wrote The Presidents and the People, 5 Leaders Who Threatened Democracy and the Citizens Who Fought to Defend It. I'm so happy to have both of you here. At the end of a week that's been a lot for America and Americans as they kind of sort through what exactly happened. Corey, we seem to be in this moment of reckoning, TBD on where we go from here. But this is just the latest in a string of political violence just within the last year. Really, you could tick off a number of things. Help put this into context for people, where we are in the wheel of history when it comes to the United States.
Well, it certainly is an important historical moment, and I should say from the beginning, of course, that the killing and murder of Charlie Kirk was horrific. I didn't agree with what he said, but he had a right to free speech, and he certainly had a right not to be murdered. We've faced political violence in the past, and the question and test is whether or not we've come through it has largely been about the reaction of a president. So think, for instance, about the killing of Martin Luther King Jr. What Lyndon Johnson said after was he appealed to the ideals of democracy, to our common understanding, and talked about the threat of violence. Or Lincoln, in the first inaugural, the last sentence, appealing to the better angels of our nature and worrying about the possibility of violence. And even though we went through the worst period of violence at that moment, that language was a guiding light of where we wanted to be in America. Now, we've had other moments. Andrew Johnson, for instance, had a moment in which he threatened himself violence against a sitting congressman. Now, the question is, where will we go? What this president has done so far is really the opposite of what we expect from a president. The president takes an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, to celebrate our common values. And what we've seen instead from this president is blaming one individual, blaming an entire group, the left, as you just heard. And that is not presidential. That's not consistent with the duties of the office. And it's really letting us down in a moment where we need somebody to bring us together rather than to divide us. And my worry is that what this president is doing is appealing to our worst demons rather than our better angels. And that's dangerous for the country.
John, you have witnessed some of our nation's most tumultuous moments in recent history firsthand. How are you feeling about all of this, and how does it compare for you?
Well, it's not new to me, obviously. I am an observer up close for at least 60 years, and I've seen violence run throughout the system and throughout decades, throughout years. It's been protracted, and then it ebbs and flows a bit. But Jessica, it's there. It's part of the fabric of democracy, sadly. And I don't know that there is a quick solution. Certainly fanning the fires does not, encouraging more of it does not solve anything. But I'm saddened to say it is inherent in democracy. And I know firsthand. I have been in the witness protection program, so I appreciate it with a little sympathy.
Mm-hmm. And listen, we also are living in this moment, Kevin, where unlike the examples you were listing, Americans can live in very different realities, even though they're living in the same country. They can see different versions of videos. They can see different things that are fed to them on their algorithms, depending on which way they lean or what they feed to the algorithm. What does that mean for a democracy like ours when we aren't living in a shared reality?
Well, I think certainly we've had moments where we did have a shared reality, and as John Dean well knows, the moment in which the Watergate hearings were watched by most Americans was a profound moment where we together saw the crimes of a president and responded. But we've had many other moments where we have not had a shared reality. I mentioned the Civil War. Another moment that I talk about in The Presidents and the People is 1798, when John Adams signed the Sedition Act and went forward with the prosecution of more than 125 political opponents. It was an attempt to shut down the opposition party, just to show you how partisan it was. The legislation was written to make it a crime to criticize the President of the United States, but it left it not a crime to criticize the Vice President, Thomas Jefferson, a member of the opposition party to Adams. So we've had that partisanship. And in that moment, the only reason we were able to fight back is while there was a Federalist reality, that was John Adams' party, there was a Democratic Republican reality, the journalists who fought back against the Sedition Act, using their own trials to put Adams on trial. And we recovered then, and throughout American history, I mentioned the Civil War, we recovered then, we have recovered, we recovered from Watergate, and I believe we'll recover again.
Yeah, John, what do you think?
Well, I'm certainly hopeful. Moments like this make people reflect on this issue. Anyone who looks closely at violence in politics realizes it accomplishes nothing. It solves nothing. It only aggravates situations. The fact that Donald Trump wants to encourage blame and point fingers is really, as Corey said, very unpresidential. Presidents are there, and we look to them to bring calm and order and make sense out of things, and that's not happening here. I'm not surprised, but it's the way we are, and I don't think it will help the situation at all if this continues.
All right, John Dean and Corey Brettschneider, our thanks to both of you. Really nice to have you. Thank you so much.